Today in the crypto space, we see some green price action. Bitcoin above the $116,000 mark, up approximately 2% and still showing some strength. We have Ethereum doing great, up approximately 5%, reaching much higher levels. And the altcoins, guys, look at them. We got Solana, we got Bonk, Doge, M. Many projects at the current moment are reaching much higher levels. In today's video, I want to talk about the general market. I want to use Bitcoin as a leading indicator, but more importantly, I want to talk about a project that's an OG in this space that has been pretty quiet, and that project is called the Graph. So you know what? Let's talk about the news, let's analyze the charts, and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome. On the channel, we talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins. Looking for opportunity, whether we go up or down, bearish or bullish, it doesn't matter. All we want to do is stay one step ahead of the market so that we can capitalize on any of the volatility. And if you appreciate the strategy, subscribe to the channel, click the bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos, including the live streams at 8 p.m. EST, where we talk about crypto news and price action. Guys, if you have any projects you want me to cover here on the channel, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. You can hit me up on the socials. The links are in the description. Better yet, guys, join the Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free. All right, guys, let's begin. Let's see what's going on here because we're getting a bit of green, guys. 2 p.m. price action definitely shows a bit of volatility. Now, the question is, could we continue this little move into something bigger throughout the weekend? As you guys know, the weekend, happy Friday, by the way, and we know that the weekend is usually not the best time to be trading. But it is what it is, right? If we're going to see green, guys, we got to take full advantage of that opportunity. As you can see, the market cap is currently trekking above the $4 trillion mark, and more importantly, made a higher high, which is amazing. It's up 2.3%. And in addition to that, great, scenario, we do see a bit of trading volume coming in, which is nice, especially as it breaks up. It's pretty good. I would love to see more, obviously. Let's break above the previous move to the upside. As you can see, I would love to see a great amount of volume, and it could definitely happen, but because the weekend is here, it's likely that we won't get such volume. You never know, guys. It could happen, guys. It's never a point of certainty. We don't want to be certain or think that we're certain in this market because at the end of the day, anything can happen, okay? It's just a game of probability here. Let's scrape through the top 100. We'll take a look at the project of today. I want to talk about the graph a little bit, guys, because GRT has been a project that has been around previous cycles, as you guys know. And as the cycles grow, we are seeing a lot more L1s and a lot more L2s for that matter. And obviously the data that these blockchains are producing is definitely growing and providing a scenario that, a software solution that, gears towards that data. It might have some more utility. And based on that fact, we might see GRT, the graph, pick up some bids in the near future. Before we get into that, let's just quickly scrape through the top 100 here. We do see that Bitcoin at the current moment is pumping up. Guys, we've been tracking this all day long on the Discord, and we see Bitcoin moving. Ethereum right now is doing a great job. It is definitely outperforming Bitcoin at the current moment, percentage-wise. And we see Solana cranking to the upside as well, tag teaming with Ethereum, with a little bit of BNB action, a little bit of Doge action, and seeing these top projects via market cap show strength means that the Bitcoin dominance has no chance. Right, it's likely that we're going to see a Bitcoin dominance drop, and we're going to be talking about Bitcoin dominance, others, and all these kind of metrics tonight at 8 p.m. EST. So feel free to join. But ultimately, we can see that the market in general, as an aggregate, is still looking good. We're still seeing this slow grind to the upside this whole week, few percents every single day. And as we close this week, we're getting a bit of green. And it could be that we're gearing up for maybe a green weekend. And it happens, guys. Not often, but it does happen. So if it does, let's be prepared. We see Cardano, we have Chainlink, we have Hyperliquid. Okay, not doing as good as before. It's been doing great up until now, guys. We can't say anything about Hyperliquid. Hype has been a beast. But we're seeing some others, like, even Sui grinding to the upside 2.5%. We have, I don't know what this is, Helllock full figure. Helllock, I have no idea what this is, but it's all automatically on the top 100. That's that. We have AVAX going steady here, at least going sideways, planking. A bit of a dip, but no big deal. Structurally speaking, it's still planking. It already pumped, guys. It did its thing. You guys know that we caught this thing at the bottom and rode the whole thing to this move. Now, it could continue to the upside, but I believe that all the other altcoins that haven't gotten their move right now are getting more attention. Risk to reward is better. We have to understand that's the case, right? So as we keep on coming down, we definitely have to understand that. As you can see, we have some good projects that might be looking for some movements in the next little while. Mantle's going sideways. We have Athena kind of holding steady here on a little bit of a retracement. WLFI is not doing much, but it does look like the structure is ready to break to the upside, guys. You guys know what I feel about World Liberty Financial, but it is what it is. If we get a bottom here, guys, let it pump. I did get into a position just in case, because I don't want to, regret missing out and all that kind of stuff. So just a small position, and that's what I'm in. And let's see what happens here with World Liberty Financial. You got to admit, there's some bullish aspects that are definitely floating around. Even the fact that it's a centralized bank that is going to be partnering up with Bank of America, whatever it is, guys, that's still bullish. We have Aave waking up here. We have Pepe looking pretty good. We have some good altcoins doing great, guys. Arbitrum, these layer twos, they could be waking up. We got a few other grinders, even Caspa's melting. Pudgy Penguin is doing great. We got a few guys, even Algo's doing good. Pumped Up Fun keeps on moving. Render's doing okay. So I'm looking for major moves, right? Obviously, bigger ones. 2% is 2%, no doubt. But, a double digit, pump, it would be awesome to see on some of these. But generally speaking, as an aggregate, we can say that the market is up approximately, 3-4%, depending on the project you're looking at, which is still good according to the structure, according to the melt up, according to the price action. Usually by today, we would get that inducement to trap individuals into Friday price action. But as can be seen, we're still getting the strength here, and it could be that we gear into or continue into the weekend like this. Nobody knows, guys. I don't have a crystal ball, but I'll tell you this. I've been deploying capital in the last little while and preparing for scenarios like this. So we should be in the green. All right, guys. I want to talk about the graph. Let's see what's going on with the graph. So considering that the market is looking okay, should we be looking for projects that have been around, that have hit floor prices, bottom levels, as you can see, and ultimately fully diluted evaluation, and we have the market cap very close by, which means that circulating supply and max supply, in this case total supply, are very close together, right? Which means that, all the tokens are pretty much out there. Now, there's a little bit of a difference here, and I can imagine that it could be based on some burning or whatever the case is, but ultimately it's all out there, guys. There's no real risk of dilution. So to tokenomics, pretty much they look okay. So look good, pretty much, because if you're not risking dilution, then what is the risk? Maybe there's a concentrated wallet, but after holding on for 2 cycles, it's likely that those tokens got distributed amongst many wallets. Look at the sell pressure that it had to endure, right? So all the sellers distributed all their tokens that were once concentrated perhaps in one wallet. They got distributed quite a bit, as you can see. And let's see what kind of price action we get here as we hit floor price, where there is no more sell pressure. Okay, so pretty good overall, the graph. What is it? Fast, easy access to blockchain data. It reminds me a bit of a Celestia thing, but we're not going to get into that. But still reminds me of a hot narrative, a narrative that should be an important one, given that as we build this industry, we start to introduce more data, more blockchains, more data being transferred through these blockchains. And if we can make sense of this data, not only do we become more informed, but it becomes there's an opportunity for monetization of the data. And I'm sure you heard this before, that data is a hot commodity, right? It's very, very lucrative. Data can be sold on the open market for quite a bit, and mining data is, it can be a very profitable thing. So, and especially as blockchain technology expands and grows and ecosystems grow and so on, and more people on board, the need and the want and the ability to earn off that data increases significantly. So the graph might be able to offer that opportunity to collect that data and make sense of it and make it a profitable thing for the graph. And obviously, earning capability makes sense in this case. So the graph is a Web3 protocol for organizing and accessing blockchain data. So our data. Now, it doesn't mean that has to be personal data, just data regarding what's really happening on chain, right? Of course, with zero knowledge proof technologies and other, securities and different technologies that allow privacy and so on. Official account of the graph ecosystem right here is basically saying, look, we can get this data in a safe way, in a great way that potentially can be monetized. And I'm thinking that's where eventually what's going to be happening here with the graph, right? So what is the graph, guys? Go check it out. There's a nice little video here. Let's see what they got going on. That's what's pinned right now. Let's see what is pinned right here is the definition from December 11th, 2024. I will honestly, that's great, but I would love to see something else that's pinned, something that is hype right now. Like what is makes us bullish on the graph? I really don't know, right? You can see right now what's hot in the news. The Graph Token API beta release. This is 14 minutes ago. Release 5 is live. Another highly anticipated feature is finally here. Now, I'm going to say something as I'm speaking. Something came to my mind because really, this is not a very, shiny thing. It's not an idea that's going to have great marketing potential. It's more of a back end thing. This is more of a developer thing. This is more of a look what you see here, coding thing. Like I get it. Like what you're handling is something that is not very sexy. It's data, right? And you're talking about an API, which is a programmer thing, right? It's like a window of opportunity to enter a stack of code of some sort, right? So their token API beta users can now filter scam and spam bots. So they're scam tokens. So what they're introducing is more utility and use case, and obviously that's a good thing, right? So that's one of the updates that they have going on that sounds fairly interesting. I'm curious as to why that is not pinned, but I guess I understand education is also very important. That's why they also have that video pinned because educating people helps onboard bullish sentiment. Okay, most developer onboarding is passive. The graph builder's Basecamp isn't, so that's interesting. So they have a Basecamp with education. That's good. Education is important. Enterprise exploring Web3 face a paradox. They need transparency, audibility, and composability without sacrificing performance, compliance, and reliability. Interesting stuff. Okay, so this is the thing. This is something that they are anticipating to be a bit of friction there. Simply use the token API. Okay, so that's that. A little bit of repetition. There's a speaker here in Korea. I can see that doing pretty good. Korea is big in crypto, guys. If you don't know, they're definitely one of the leaders here in this space. And don't forget to stop and talk and learn and trust the problem in on-chain insight. So that's a great word, insight, on-chain insight. That's basically what GRT, the graph, wants to handle is the on-chain insight. Guys, this is pretty cool. Very interesting stuff. Obviously deserves a deep dive. Guys, go check out the deep dive section on the Discord and request any deep dives that you may have, and I'll definitely put them there so we can vote on the next deep dives. All right, guys, let's take a look at some of the price action. I know you're here to talk about charts as well, so let's see what's going on with GRT. Let's get that chart going right here. Let me just quickly find that GRT. And you can see that, GRT at the end of the day is like many other projects that, have hit their floor price and currently showing a little bit of proof of life and ultimately looking for the reversal. Structurally speaking, many projects are showing that maybe they're looking for the bounce, and GRT is one of them. Let's take a look at this in a little bit more detail. Now, ultimately, when I look for charts, right, I look for levels of which look interesting from a supply and demand perspective. Obviously, the basics of marketplace supply and demand. And then not only that, I'm looking for structures that give me that evidence that demand is outperforming supply. Now, big picture, guys, just to quickly zoom out, we have to speak about history because history has shown us that this level and all this falling wedge has been a very important level. a level of which many people, such as myself, did DCA 30, 30, 40, deploying slowly, 30% at a time until we finally got this. Okay, and you can see we de-risked here and de-risked here, and that was a great opportunity to maximize your potential gains. And then I can imagine the emotion of people fearing to miss out and being used as exit liquidity. As we got the confirmation high, lower high, we started coming down, another exit pump, and come right back down. Now you got to ask yourself, after I said this story, you got to ask yourself, what are people feeling and what are people thinking at this current level? Considering what happened here and all throughout this entire story, we have to understand that there's some emotions. The emotional individuals here, which wouldn't be many because they had many opportunity to either capitulate already and exit their bags, or exit their bags and profits because of all of this, right? If they took profit, great. If you came down here, it's likely people to, probably sold. And if they didn't, which I think there might be a portion of people that didn't sell from these entries that are still hodling through, believe it, they're sweating right now. Now, could it be an opportunity? I would say this. I would say that the last line of opportunity is here, the opportunity to buy from a healthy risk to reward ratio. Now, yes, we could come down and hunt these bottoms where, they look pretty interesting as well. There's a little bit of volume and market participation there. That's also very possible. But it's this structure that concerns me most. And it's not a concern, a negative concern. In fact, it's a positive concern. It's a concern because at this current moment, as we reach the previous lows where, clearly was a very emotional level and still is, we could definitely come back to this zone and get another reversal here, as you can see. So what I want to do quickly is open up the oscillators to get an idea of where we're at from a momentum perspective. By the way, guys, if you want to know more about this oscillator, it's called Synergy Signal. I got links in the description below if you want to know more about it. And as you can see, this structure, fairly sideways. A bear would classify this as a bear flag. Fair enough. It is what it is, right? It's going sideways after an impulsive move. There's volume market participation. There is a lower high, the double bottom. I get it. I truly do. I do see the bear below the 200 daily. It could be a bear flag. The thing is that if you start looking at momentum, these two tops, there is a bit of divergence. It's a class C bearish divergence, right? So what happens is we have to start really contemplating on whether, are we actually going to get a huge divergence or a huge rollover based on a class C? It's very, somewhat of a weak sign of divergence. And given that the rest of the market, particularly today, is looking really good, is there enough evidence to suggest that we should be bearish here? That's my biggest concern, is that any little ounce of bearishness at the current moment could be amplified by the fact that we are all suffering from PTSD from a bear market. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to go all in. What it means is that at least take the structure for what it is and play it like, there is two scenarios, not just one. There's not just a bearish scenario here. So let me just explain. If you look at these two bottoms, they look really great. Now, there's no clear divergence on these at all, right? But it is very nice as a double bottom. What interests me most out of all of this, and again, the momentum oscillator is not really giving me that much of an edge here on the daily. The trend oscillator is looking a lot better. As you can see, EMAs are facing up with green histogram bars, which looks awesome, which looks amazing. Okay, so that's something that I really want to see, is it get into the bullish control zone and expand with a purple expansion in the background. And if you look real quick, you can see a purple expansion coming in very, very soon. It's going to peak right through soon, which is interesting for me, right? I'm not trying to front run this, but I'm trying to be real about what I see. Okay, so let's get rid of the oscillators for a second, because once you start looking at oscillators, you really have to say, okay, where's market structure at? So from a market structure perspective, there's lots of volume here. You're at the point of control. And more importantly, guys, it's the rounded bottom. More importantly, guys, it's the V recovery in the rounded bottom. And that for me is like bread and butter type of things, guys. When I see this, I'm willing to take a chance. I know there's only small signs of divergence here on momentum and on oscillators, small signs of bullishness. However, looking at Bitcoin and Ethereum the way they're behaving right now, and even Solana and all the large caps like we discussed, if we get more into a parabolic phase, which we haven't gotten into, into the altcoins. And to be honest, even Bitcoin didn't go parabolic yet, guys. Let's be real with what's here. Yes, Bitcoin's in price discovery, but did it go really parabolic? Could it? Sure. Technically, is it? I don't know. It's such a large cap now, and the way it behaves, it shouldn't be going so parabolic. But it is what it is. What we have to do is focus on what GRT is and its market cap. It's small market cap, $1 billion. It's not small, 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 but it's $1 billion market cap. And what that means is they're starting to enter that area of smaller, right? So mid-range market cap. Now, could we actually break out of this level? That's the most concerning. So there's two levels of invalidation that I want to make clear. This right here and this one down here, obviously. Okay, this is another level invalidation. Now that level invalidation is the absolute invalidation. If we break below there, guys, bear market, it's likely that we're coming down further and we're gonna hunt this liquidity down all the way down here. And if and that's like done. Like that's the last line in the sand down there, like over. And even if it goes down there, guys, it looks really, really bad. Because you have to ask yourself, if GRT is gonna come all the way down there, what is causing it and what does the rest of the space look like? Right? It's going to be very hard for me to see GRT fall much lower without seeing Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins taking dumps as well. Right? So we got to understand there will probably be a market wide dip or, dump than just a GRT one. That's something to consider. However, if you look at what's really happening here, we have two levels of invalidation. Number one, the big one. Number two, the smaller one. The smaller one interests me more. And the reason being is the structure that is being formed right above it. And I didn't really focus too much on the imbalance above, but there is, a low volume zone right into this level. If you exclude this price action, things might look a little different. As you can see, this zone had a lot of price volatility, but a low volume. Not much happening here. So if you kind of see what's happening, it's not like it's that much volume. This volume is a lot. And you got to ask yourself, what are they preparing for? What is really happening down here? Are they picking up enough bullish bids on the notion that there's a lot of demand and eventually we're going to start pushing through this, volume gap? It's not a huge volume gap. There is some volume, but it's pretty weak in comparison to what's building and boiling up right here. The pressure is building. So as we zoom in, you're going to start to see, okay, let's just analyze this market structure a little bit more. Now we're looking at this and we start to say, okay, maybe the daily might not be the best. We got some, V recovery right into here, which is beautiful, fine. A lower high, not a good look, fine. A nice back test, fine. And then starts to look okay. It's a little bit of a deep retracement. I can eyeball that. It looks like it's a golden pocket type of retracement. You can see we hit the golden pocket pretty nicely right in here. Okay, that's good enough. But again, as you keep on looking, you start to say, but what's the relevance of this bottom? The relevance of this bottom is that it's higher than the last. The relevance of this bottom is that we're starting to form rounded bottoms instead of quick V recoveries. The difference behind this bottom is that this bottom in itself is a reversal structure. So let's take a look at that. Right? And I'm compelled to get onto the 6 hour real quick. If you start looking at this structure, this is a beautiful V recovery. Mind you, this on my, it looks amazing, guys. I'm just throwing it out there. As I'm looking, I'm like, dang, that's a nice reversal right there. But as you can see, what's happening here, we have a nice V recovery, and then right after it, we got a fat rounded bottom. And what happens here is that we get passive accumulation after a quick aggressive buy up. We come down for, sell pressure based on profit taking. This is usually caused by leverage and, bigger positions, obviously, and maybe caused by leverage and this and that. And then obviously as it comes down, people take profit, it comes back down, and then slowly there's limit orders, passive accumulation right into here, which generally lead to better sustainable price action because these individuals are likely not trading with leverage and they're going to be holding for a longer term. People take their profits and buy spot. Right? I do that all the time. You guys know that. Get out of your leverage positions and redeploy those leverage positions in spot. Free bags, if you think about it. So if they're free bags, you're willing to take more risk on them because they're house money. And if you're willing to take more risk on them, it's likely you're not going to take profit up here. You're going to let it run and see where that house money takes you because it's risk free. So at this point, passive accumulation, looking for the break of the top. If we break this top, not only do we make a nice beautiful structure, we'll be breaking out of the structure, and then we start asking ourselves, well, we made a higher low. What do we need to confirm a change of direction, a change of character? Well, we need to break above a top. And the first top in our way is this level right here that definitely has some liquidity based on, shorts and so on and so forth, right? So at that point, we are looking for a reversal out of this level to confirm, and we might even do a small exchange of hands here, which people will start calling a cup and handle. Totally fine as well. An exchange of hands here at resistance would be bullish, bullish, bullish. We break out to the upside, and then we have some decisions. Do we think that the trend line will be respected? This right here. Will we respect this trend line? Or are we going to break right through and start looking for horizontal resistance so that we can break through that? This is where things get a little hectic because a lot of people will start connecting these tops and saying, well, we're hitting the trend line and it's likely that we might get a reaction here. So you got to decide, am I trailing up a stop loss, taking profit right here? You can see based on that thesis, your risk to reward ratio is not good. If you feel like this is going to be resistance, it's not the best. Personally, I don't trade trend lines like this. I wouldn't care. I don't really care about this trend line, to be perfectly honest. I would assume that if we can break above here, we're likely eventually going to continue going up, even if we do hesitate and get a short-term reaction based on this trend line. Trend lines like this one don't really define liquidity. As you can see, it's still empty, right? So what I would be looking for ultimately is an entry with a better risk to reward ratio that is closer to support rather than to resistance. If you think this is going to be resistance, look at your risk to reward. You need to put a stop loss down here, right? And then eventually take your profit up here. Guys, that doesn't make any sense. Your risk to reward ratio is absolutely garbage. But based on the expansion of this, this structure, your actual target should be right around this level as it breaks out. So we should be revisiting these previous tops, and that would make most sense because I believe that there should be a little bit of interest to come to these levels, in fact, break above it. If it starts breaking above it, guys, we achieved a beautiful change of character here at the bottom, and then we start looking for expansions through the emptiness that exists above. At this point, it's very early, but we know we're buying bottoms on the big picture on the daily. We know this structure could have some potential based on risk to reward. Put the stop loss underneath here. If you go back on the daily, you will see why I put those white lines. Is because there's two areas of interest for becoming defensive, which is below this structure, which is looking beautiful at the current moment, and obviously last line in the sand all the way down here, because if we break down from this white line, we are likely to gonna see we are going to define a break of structure where we get a continuation to the downside and eventually break down again for another wave, and then we start hunting liquidity down here. Okay, guys, so ultimately we've seen a lot of projects hold this structure. This is not a new structure. V recovery, rounded bottom. V recovery, a mini one right into here, rounded bottom. We start breaking out of this, guys. We break and break and break. We start expanding through volume gaps, and that's done. We've seen so many projects in the last little while with the same structure every single night when we're live. I've been showing you these over and over and over. Why? Because the market generally moves in tandem, and they produce very similar market structures. And right now, what we see here is absolutely great. All right, guys, so if I've offered you any value in this video, do the channel a massive favor. Slap the like button. It does really help out with the algorithm. If you want to follow me on the socials, the links are in the description. Better yet, guys, join the Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free. Take care, guys. Have a good one. And don't forget, buy the dip.